Hey, what's up,
Hey
everybody?
guys, welcome back.
Joe here.
And Kevin.
So we have a really interesting conversation to start off this episode of The West Wing.
Yeah, we were looking at the Patreon comments because we always do.
Yes, we do.
Um, and there was a pretty lively discussion about something we didn't really talk about in the episode wrap up. We covered a
Yeah,
lot of ground, but the question of should
Bartlett run again.
Bartlett
Yeah,
run again?
and a couple days ago, I was kind of litigating some of the comments on there, and we got into it a little bit, but we really want to touch upon it now, and a
Yeah,
lot of you guys
absolutely.
want us to talk about it as well too.
Right. And that was all Joe, and I didn't have any input there, so this gives us a chance to you and I kind of bounce our ideas off each other.
So I'm kind of torn. I'm in the middle on it because at the same time, the right thing to do, I think, is to disclose that information. But at the same time, I believe it was Jimmy on Patreon, which we always appreciate your comments. You made the point that it's about privacy, right? We all have the right to privacy concerning our health concerns, which is true, and I do think that is true. For any walk of life, you have the right to
Right.
privacy. Public office, sure, but specifically the president, I feel like some of that information needs to be disclosed.
We get into some gray area here. Someone said, um, we hold our, I don't like the idea of, holding our leaders to a higher moral standard than we hold ourselves, which is true.
It's
But
true.
I don't think health information about whether or not you can do the job is um, privileged information. I feel like that's not a moral standard. I feel like that's a practical one.
It
I agree
depends
with
though.
you. Again, guys,
It depends.
there is no right answer here. One of the reasons this show is so brilliant is that it's very nuanced and there's a lot of layers and a lot of gray area to it.
Yeah.
Um, it depends on what the issue is. When you look back at the '80s, when Ronald Reagan was hiding the fact that he could not uh, intellectually do the job towards the end, and they were kind of
Oh yeah, yeah,
hiding him away.
yeah.
I feel like the public deserved to know that. I'm kind of with Toby because that interaction between Toby and Bartlett was utterly brilliant.
Yeah.
Performance wise, writing wise, it was fantastic, compelling television for sure.
It was.
Um, and
Somebody, by the way, somebody in the comments, they refer to that moment as "Schiff got real."
right,
I'm
yeah,
like, that's good. We're stealing
he was Richard
that.
Schiff was Toby was the perfect character
Yeah,
to be the one to have that conversation with because he's the most critical
he will
Bartlett guy.
stand up to Bartlett.
Yeah, he's the
Yeah.
one who would stand up to him. But
I think it was like
it,
if the president had diabetes or the
right,
president had.
I think that's different though.
That's what I'm saying. Like if it was something like that, then sure, who cares? You don't have to disclose it.
Right, yeah, he'll
MS
take
is
yeah,
well, the big issue is the episode where he was in the hospital and
right,
then Leo had to take over in the war room.
right,
That's kind of Toby's concern.
yeah,
If this was wrapped up and there was multiple doctors and like the information was out there to the medical staff, to the people in Washington, then maybe you don't have to make a big announcement about it. But at the same time, it's going to get out. I
yeah,
mean, like in the political
sure,
world, they're going to use that against him.
right, of course, and that should be expected. But Toby made the point that I believe 100%. The public has a right to make that decision
Sure.
for themselves. You don't have the right to decide for the public if
Yeah.
they deserve to have all the information available when they vote. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got to trust the voter with, okay, here's the reality. Is it something you can live with or not? But I can't make the decision for you
Yeah.
if you're going to live with it or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I'm going to walk a line here because I don't want to. I don't want to step on any toes or anything like this. But
This is just our opinion, guys. We're
let's
not
use an
saying we're right.
let's
Yeah,
use an example here. So let's say today, President Biden. If there is something cognitively going on with him, I think we have the right to know. And he's no stranger to word flubs. It could just be word flubs, but if there is something else going on, and I'm not saying anything. We're not
well,
going.
it's the
We're
same
not,
thing with the Reagan, right?
the
It's the
same thing
same
with
thing with
Reagan.
Reagan,
We're
right?
not going full political, you know, conspiracy theorist here at all. I'm just saying if there is an issue with him, then it needs to be
Well,
addressed
I mean,
because he is
hypothetically, an issue,
hypothetically. That's what I'm
right?
saying. Because a lot of people online say things. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
but they say everything about everybody.
Exactly, exactly. So I'm just saying, if there is an issue, then I think they should come forward. That being said, I don't know if there is an issue,
Yeah,
but when you have speculation from other sides, like let's go back to the show now. Let's say an opposing presidential candidate comes out and says Bartlett has MS, and then they deny it. Then it's kind of like back and forth. He said, she said. It creates a political distrust. You know what I mean? With people online, people in the
well,
real world.
yeah. Then you get into legal issues
That's what I'm
of
saying.
how are you lying about it? What's the cover up?
It
Right,
creates a bigger mess than just being like, hey, I have MS,
right,
or hey, I have dementia, whatever it is. You know what I
Right.
mean?
I don't know. I think the presidency is just a job that's important enough that
I mean, you're the leader of the free world.
right. Yeah. I mean, yes, a private, I've always believed this. A private citizen has a right to privacy. When private citizens get doxxed, even the people I hate, I cannot stand that because
Yeah,
private citizens have the right to privacy. That dentist that shot that lion, Cecil the lion, you remember when that happened?
yeah.
I hate that guy. He didn't deserve to have his life destroyed
No,
over
he did
that,
not.
though, with people
He
putting
did
his
not.
destroying his business and putting his address online and making so he had to shut down the business and move. He is a private citizen.
Who has
Now,
the right to live his life
right,
however he wants to live it,
now,
regardless of how we feel about it.
right. Now, when Leonardo DiCaprio dates young models and people want to make fun of him and call him out and call him names for that, he is a public person.
Yeah.
Right, who is getting made by being, who's getting paid by being in the public eye. That's different. The president is not a private person. It's just not. It's why legally you can go on TV and slander the president and make jokes about the president because he is not a private person anymore. He has chosen to be a public person.
And let us not forget who does the president work for?
Right, yeah, exactly.
You know, this is kind of like, I know it's not this simple, but in many ways, we are his boss. You know what I mean?
No,
He's
it
not.
is. I mean, he does represent the American people.
We
Is
are
what he's
not.
there for.
He's not our boss. We're his. Like he speaks on behalf of us. You know,
Right.
and so we want to make sure we have the best people in charge and in office to
Well,
to run the country. It does not always. It's not
it
always.
doesn't work
It
that
doesn't
way.
always
But
work that way, right?
Donald Trump
It's
was
not a
a.
perfect. It's not a
It's not
perfect
the
world.
best person at anything.
No, not at all.
But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, sure. And we like I said, you guys
Not
are all
being
entitled to your
political, but right,
you're all entitled to your own opinions and stuff.
right,
But I do think even a governor.
right.
You
No,
know what
I
I mean?
agree.
Even a
Right.
governor.
It's an executive position. It's not shared. It's different for a congressperson. I feel like because
Yeah.
there's 424 other of you.
And the point you made about like Leonardo DiCaprio,
Right,
I even think that's a little different because it's like, well, paparazzi, they're kind of the worst. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
you know,
They are,
they're invasive.
of
They
course.
intrude on people's personal lives. But at the same time, when you're in the public eye,
Yeah, you've chosen.
people are just gonna know.
You have chosen to make yourself the commodity.
You made your bones on that. You're
Right. Yeah.
selling yourself. You are
Yeah.
the product.
Right. Yeah.
Now,
Public person versus private person, and the president's an important job. Now, let me ask you this hypothetically, because I've heard this debate before with other politicians. It's a sexist debate for sure,
sure.
but the idea of a female governor or president, let's say female president, because it's going to happen, right? We're going to
At
we,
this rate, I mean,
we're of course going to have a woman who's president someday.
someday.
What happens, and what happens when somebody asks her in a debate setting, or a press person asks her, "Do you plan on getting pregnant in the time that you're president?"
Well, okay,
You know what I
so
mean? Like, because pregnancy, at least for a short time, is relatively incapacitating, or can be.
I think that's a bit of a stretch because most of the time the presidential candidates are a little older. So I
Yeah,
think
they don't have to be. They're
they don't have to
35.
be
You can be
35.
35, right?
35. I'm just
Say,
saying,
say you're a 41-year-old. What was her freaking name? Sarah Palin, when she was running for vice president in 2008
yeah.
on John McCain's ticket. Say she became president for whatever reason, McCain dies or she wins the election, whatever.
Yeah.
Would she have to, for some people, not for me, but for some people, have to kind of make that promise like, hey, God, because she had a young child
She
in
did.
there.
And a young grandson as
Right.
well. Yeah.
Would she be expected by anybody to say, I'm not going to get pregnant during this time because I have this very important job instead, and being pregnant can be, maybe not pregnant, but going through the birthing process and everything can be
It's a full-time job.
right. It can be a little bit debilitating for a while, which then raises all kinds of issues of sexism, right? Of misogyny,
It does.
of well, you might become a mother when you're president, therefore you shouldn't have this job.
Uh, okay. So I think most women that do have presidential prospects, I think that most of them, I'm not speaking for all of them, I'm just saying I think they kind of put that in the back burner, or
Sure.
they're in a position to where they're like, I'm not going to have kids at this point in time, if they already have kids. If they do want to become pregnant, I feel like, hey, it's 2023. We absolutely can do this. They have more help than anybody else in the world does. So I don't see the issue with it.
Right. I'm only bringing the pregnancy thing up because
Yeah.
it's come up when women have run for office, where men have men who have run against them said, make a pledge you're not going to have a baby during this time.
Well, it's so funny
Well,
because what experience do they have of being pregnant? You know what I
right.
mean?
Yeah,
We
exactly.
have no idea
That's what you need
that's
is
like.
that's what you need as a woman running for office, is a man mansplaining how bad pregnancy is to you while you're running for office against
And
him.
in many ways, it's like women are women are way more tough than guys are in that
Of
extent
course,
because
of
they're
course.
creating life inside them. So
Right,
that's an experience we don't have the luxury of experiencing.
Not at all.
So I don't see how it would be a hindrance on the job. One last thing, I think that the reason we want Bartlett to run so much and we are rooting for Bartlett to run again is because we've spent 2 seasons with him.
Yeah.
We have his personal life right in front of us, which is not realistic at all.
Sure.
So we have that perspective of run again.
Right.
But he does have I think he's obliged to tell people about it.
I agree. I think the public deserves to know what they're voting for. But yeah, in the grand scheme, I think he can run.
Also, one last thing, I promise.
Okay, we're about 10 minutes here. We got to get to it.
Yeah, this was brought up in the comments as well. It's kind of tragic too because this MS, it's okay now, but 10 years from now, probably not. He's probably going to die at a younger age.
Sure.
He's going to be debilitated very soon.
Well,
so in a way,
even he said it could happen. That's why people need to know it could happen during the 4 years he's president again.
So it kind of makes Bartlett running against the clock.
Yeah, he is. Sure. And he's definitely got to face his wife on that, too.
He does.
We do want to look to the Patreon subscribers, guys, for the weekend. So Delaney Porter, Anna Moni, JB Smoove, Jessica C., Luke Schleer, Brianna J., Naomi Ansari. Welcome, guys. And we really appreciate you being here. Thank you.
You guys are the best. Thank you for hanging in there with our long discussion there. But if you're watching us on YouTube for the first time, welcome to our channel.
Hello.
Hit that like button for us. Leave us a comment down below. And please hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with all of our new content we've come your way.
Absolutely. If you'd like to see the Flone's reaction to this and everything else we watch, please check out the link in the description below to our Patreon page.
Yes. Well, CCR.
Andre Rison.
You were up all night.
Because my staff's
Oliver Platt.
on the analysis of HR 437
I
ignored
love
the
Oliver
Fourth
Platt,
Amendment
man.
implications. I need a dictaphone.
You've
So
got
he's a
one on your
lawyer.
desk.
Doesn't work. Stuck on record. It won't stop recording things. So it's just what you want lying around the White House counsel's office because there's never been a problem with that before.
You're not going anywhere. So is he a John Larroquette's replacement as the lead White House counsel?
I don't know. We haven't seen John Larroquette in a while.
Just the one episode, yeah.
He's waiting for us.
We really need to see him now.
What better time? You're scared of Babish?
Oh, like you're not.
No, because we are both men of Chicago.
I didn't go to law school. I got a PhD in economics instead.
Your parents were very proud.
Hey, Oliver.
Come on in.
You might want to hide that recorder that's stuck on record
Yeah.
here.
Oh, yeah. Dude, smash that thing.
Yeah.
And I need you to tell me whether or not I've engaged 16 people in a massive criminal conspiracy to defraud the public in order to win a presidential election.
I was wondering if we were going to go that direction with
Right.
it.
Okay.
Oliver Platt's done some really, really good film work over the years that I love.
When I was a kid, one of my favorite movies of all time was the Disney Three Musketeers.
Oh yeah, he was one
he
of the
was
Three Musketeers. Yeah,
Porthos, I think.
Yeah.
Or after, I can't remember which one he was, but
when I was a kid, I really liked Diggstown,
Digstown.
and he was in that. Yeah,
Is he in Lake Placid? Remember that movie?
he was, but I don't think I ever saw the whole thing
I love a good cheesy B movie
for sure.
with alligators and stuff. That's fun.
Mexico collapsed?
Yeah, can you believe it?
Mexico collapsed over the weekend.
No, actually, just this morning. Mexico's got $30 billion worth of foreign loans due this week, and they don't have $30 billion.
The quote from the senior White House official says the president would be willing to compromise,
It
agreeing
sounds
to
like
a
the
small
senior White
climate-
House official would be willing to compromise. Single hull VLCC carrying 4 million gallons of crude oil ran up on a shoal 3 miles south of Rehoboth Beach, Delaware.
How many gallons do you think?
200,000 gallons so far. The Kensington Indio operations are already underway.
Is that the one when Sam was working for the
I think so.
law firm that he told him not to buy?
I believe so.
I want you to find out who the senior White House official was and put his ass in my office by the end of the day.
Do you know whether it had something to do with the navigation or the steering?
Well, all
It was
that's being
that one for sure,
investigated,
yeah.
but I'm assuming that when a ship runs into the shore, it has something to do with either the navigation or the steering.
Yeah.
Is it possible you could be sitting in this room, have an attack, and I don't know it?
Yes.
Well,
My
that's a big
vision
deal.
might get blurry. You wouldn't know that.
You and I don't enjoy attorney-client privilege.
What's he talking about?
He's a government lawyer.
You recall any time in those depositions when you were asked about your health? Because if you were asked about your health and lied in a deposition, that's the ball game.
Yeah.
We're all going home.
I never lied.
Good.
Who's the last one?
I'm sorry?
You said 16 people. Who's the last one?
Toby Ziegler.
How's he taking it?
Not well.
Yeah, was it not great?
Yeah.
I can hang out with you and answer insulting questions for a while.
He's getting so defensive, just like he did with Toby.
Yeah.
The number of people whose permission I need before I can do whatever the hell I want. Let me tell you something. There's really a lot to be said for fascism.
I'm not going to find him.
You're absolutely not going to find him.
But I should spend the day doing it anyway.
Yes.
Because Toby's...
Yeah.
You object to the bailout.
I do.
Because in the world of Donatella
Well, she
Moss,
is,
we
that
should all
kind of-
love one another just as long as it doesn't cost you anything.
If the Mexico's economy collapses, the world economy collapses. That's the thing.
What happened to the ship?
It suffered some kind of malfunction, causing a steering loss about 10 miles offshore.
How bad is this going to end up being?
Bad. Everyone's in it. Coast Guard, EPA, NTSB, state, local.
Health insurance. I don't have any anymore. Why not? I'm the husband of a doctor.
Have you ever signed any document for health insurance or life insurance or any document in which you were asked about your health and did not disclose you have MS?
No.
Going at him
What do
with
you think?
fine-tooth comb. Yeah, he's really picking out stuff.
Right.
I am nowhere close to being able to answer that question.
Have you talked to Terry Cashin of the Baltimore Sun in the last 4 days?
Asking him if he's the leak.
What?
Listen up. I'm not the leak. I don't know who the leak is. If I did, I wouldn't tell you.
How many more of these do I have?
You should know that anyways.
1138.
Okay, after 5 of them, I'm just going to confess.
Yeah,
The steam pipe truck
Oh, what was
distribution
Koch?
venue looks much better.
It does.
this
It
guy
looks very
named
cozy.
Kirk on the oil spill.
Yeah.
They'll hold a joint press conference this afternoon to announce that they're seeking damages. Kensington's going to pay it through the nose.
No, they're not.
I think you're wrong.
I bought the NDO for him when I was at Gage Whitney.
Wow.
I know this is going to sound crazy, but I was thinking if I could be deposed for the plaintiffs.
Me out of the
Stop
room.
talking or I'm walking
Does
out.
he have an NDO or something?
I don't know.
NDA, sorry.
You know better. If you gave that deposition, you'd be disbarred. And even if you were willing to be disbarred, there's no judge in the country who'd allow privileged testimony. You're not as good as you think.
Yeah, I am.
And a 14-page form. Margaret, I need to speak to Leo.
He's in a meeting with Oliver Babish.
Yeah, I know. Tell him it's an old friend from home.
That's the emergency code they've been
You
using.
sure?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm staying yet.
You're staying.
Why?
Because I'm running the show and I picked you. I mean, in the 2.5 hours we've been sitting here, have you discovered one thing that he's done wrong?
No. He did everything you do if your intent is to perpetrate a fraud.
That's what Toby said too about the
Yes,
the
it is.
note.
Yes,
about
it is.
about the note
Come
in the
in.
hospital. Yeah, I think Charlie might have figured out what the smoking gun's going to be the problem.
Yep.
The one track they didn't cover.
Uh-huh.
Is it something about college admissions? Did he lie in his college forms or his kids' college forms or something?
I don't know.
It has to be,
I
right?
don't know. It could be.
I
so
can't be
many
his
things.
because he didn't know he had
Yeah.
this back then. But one of his kids' college forms?
When they went to college, they would have had to fill out a health form, including a complete family medical history.
There we go.
Okay. I don't remember that being a thing, but I believe him.
God. If you're under 18, you need a parent's signature.
To one of the kids.
Oh.
Oh, so a parent signed
Signed it.
one of, yeah, either him or his wife signed it.
That'd be crazy.
And you yourself didn't talk to anybody, did you?
I feel horrible. I should have said something before, but I was afraid of what you'd do.
No, it's okay.
No, let me get this off my chest. It was me. Send him to my parents' house in Madison.
Why?
They'll find the Lindbergh baby in the basement.
Okay, she's
my
messing with
God.
her. She had me going. She got me.
The Land Lease Act.
He said if your neighbor's house is on fire, you don't haggle over the price of your garden hose. Why help them? Because we can.
Yeah, you just saved the economy of one of America's largest trade partners. Is what
Yeah.
you did. Yeah.
Because we have to.
It was a leak. Leaks happen. They've happened since the beginning of time. In this White House, in every White House. So what's this about?
I want to know when the big potatoes come, are we up for it?
Big potatoes?
Oh, the
Tubby,
MS
we ran
thing,
for
he knows,
election.
Yeah.
Are there bigger potatoes someplace?
Yeah, kinda. There's a big scandal coming.
Sit down. Don't be scared. My youngest daughter's got a big mouth.
Yeah, okay, so it was so you told him.
She wanted me to be on the lookout for certain physical signs so I could tell the First Lady.
Okay,
The more conversations you have with me, the more lawyers you're going to have to talk to. And they bill in an hour what you take home in a week, so if you lie just once, if you lie just a little, if you ever lie, you're finished with me. You understand?
It's a really nice moment.
Yes, sir.
I need you to go to law school and graduate as soon as humanly possible.
Right.
Well, I've got good news for you, Oliver. Turns out I didn't do everything right after all.
Abby
It was
signed
Lady
it.
Macbeth.
Yeah.
There's a bad moon rising, Oliver. We both know it. This isn't what you signed up for. If you leave, I'd appreciate it if you did it now.
If I stay, will you do exactly what I tell you to do?
Just say yes.
You don't
man.
have a
He knows
choice,
what
bro.
he's talking
You don't
about.
have
Yeah.
a choice.
What would my first step be?
First, tell your staff. Then order the Attorney General to appoint a special prosecutor. He's going to have an unlimited budget and a staff like an army. The new slogan around here is going to be Bring It On. If you invoke executive privilege one time, I'm gone. They want to drag you to The Hague and charge you with war crimes. What do we say?
Bring it on.
Bring it on.
Let's go. Let's go.
I like it. I like it.
Ugh.
That's good writing, man.
God, I love
It's so
Martin Sheen
good,
so
yeah.
much. And Oliver Platt. He is
This-
exactly what the show needs.
Right. This show is so good at getting powerhouse performers next to each other.
Yes. Yes. And one thing we didn't mention about the last episode, how powerful Richard Schiff is.
Right.
It feels like everybody else is on that level in this episode.
Yeah.
Everybody. Even Charlie is like
Right. Yeah.
right there. You know, everybody's in, man, it really is like a masterclass on how to act.
Oh, completely. Of ensemble acting.
Yes, there's no
Like,
small parts.
There's also part every
No small parts.
everyone kind of butting up against each other. This is brilliant television writing.
It's so good, man. And like, okay, so we talked about a different episode of the show. We're binging a couple episodes today because Kevin's gonna be on vacation next week. So we had the luxury this week of hopping into the next episode.
We're gonna do that now. Yeah.
That the last 4 episodes, that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Is keep going after we finish one.
Oh, for sure.
Because
Absolutely.
They're all the way on the gas, man. We are just headed towards something. I don't know what we're headed towards, but we're headed
I
towards
don't know,
something.
but man, as well written as this show has been from day one,
Yeah.
man, has Sorkin really hit his stride here in these last couple episodes? These last half a dozen episodes, you know, ever since Noel, I feel like he's just been nailing it perfectly all the way through up until this moment, and I can't wait to see where we go from here.
Excuse me. This is kind of unprecedented. We haven't really seen a show or political show that has dealt with this issue. Even in real life, I don't
Right.
really remember the president's health being public concern.
Well, living in 2023, the president's health has just become another thing to slap around for
Sure.
political attacks.
What I
right?
mean though is like,
but yeah,
in this capacity.
right? Well, for sure.
Yeah.
When it's actually a real issue and not a speculative one.
Yeah.
where it's
Well,
like-
which I addressed that at the beginning of the episode.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
But yeah, I think we've got some big stuff ahead dealing with this moving forward.
I just don't know how they get out of this. You know, obviously, like with there being so many seasons of the show, we know something is resolved, but
Right.
at the same time, it's like, how?
Well,
And-
there's a number of things that can happen, and we might see them because
Yeah.
I don't know where the show goes, but this is a show that seems to cover a lot, try to cover a lot of political issues. You
Yeah.
know, like run the gamut. We might see an impeachment trial.
Oh,
We might see a censure. We might, we're definitely going to have a contested election where this is an issue.
yeah.
You and I have talked about this before. I can't remember if it was on camera or on this. With the MS, if it's public knowledge, I fully expect whoever he's running against
To use it.
to use it, and not in like a he's got MS, don't vote for him way, but in a watch me with my shirt off on horseback and playing tennis,
full
and let's get some cameras of me playing basketball.
Yeah.
I'm going to be the healthy
Yeah.
candidate
Well, that's certainly what
running
we
against the
said
sick president. Yeah,
RFK is doing right now.
Yeah, oh,
He's out here
sure.
78 years old, bench pressing.
yeah, exactly. It's going to be and it's because Biden's so old,
Yes.
right? It's that juxtaposition. Whoever runs against Bartlett, I don't know who it's going to be, who they're going to who they're going to cast. I'm assuming because this show's been nailing it, it's going to be a known commodity of an actor who runs against him.
Oh, excuse me.
No, you're good. And it's going to be someone we know, and it's going to be somebody who is fit and healthy, and it's going to be that opposite of what he is
Yeah.
a way of saying, look at me as the alternative voters. I'm fit, healthy, and living.
Exactly.
I see that.
Exactly.
That's what I think is going to
It's gonna be
happen.
like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, no, I mean,
It's not, I'm just
right,
saying.
but it's going to
Yeah.
be somebody who's older and really healthy. I wouldn't
Yeah.
be surprised. Like, we've seen Corbin Burnson a few times, and
We have.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was him.
And that's one
Corbett
thing.
Burnson's a fit guy for an older guy. Yeah.
So this show, obviously, like it's covering so many different spectrums
Right.
of what can happen in Washington. I'm very much excited to see the re-election process.
Sure.
Because I mean, who doesn't love a good campaign?
Right.
I mean, The Ides of March is a fantastic movie.
Sure. Absolutely.
Even like as a satire and a comedy, The Campaign, the
Right.
movie with Will Ferrell, it's satire and it is like very irreverent, but at the same time, like it's checking off some boxes of like what does happen and
Right,
like
right.
how ridiculous things can get. That's what I do want to see going forward.
Well, I
And,
mean, Bulworth and the candidate,
yeah,
and I mean,
Bulworth,
we just got to, it's
Canada's
always
probably the
been,
best example of it.
yeah, it's always been kind of a thing. It's like how ridiculous is the process of the American political system,
Truly.
and how we engage, how the politicians engage in it because of how the public engages in it.
Because it is a fight, ostensibly.
It's
You
a
are
fight.
fighting for the country.
It's tribalism. It's team sides. It's pretty stupid usually.
Yeah.
But we're all part of it. You know what I mean?
And also you have to deal with the impact of that.
Absolutely.
What is the fallout from your promises? You make a lot of promises and you campaign on saying, I'm going to get this done. I'm going to
Billions
do this,
and billions of dollars are going to get spent on marketing it, and it's just
It's also funny how
I'm not looking
arbitrary
forward to it. I never am.
how arbitrary like money is in that situation.
Right.
It's not an issue. Even in
Yeah.
this show, they're like, yeah, we're going to give Mexico $30 billion or
Right, yeah.
however much money they're going to give them. And it's like, oh, wow, okay, we're just going to brush past that. Like, that's no big deal.
Yeah,
It's monopoly money.
I think when we get to re-election here, I think MS is going to be front and center part of it. I think we've just really started with this episode here with Babish.
Yeah.
We've really started what the election's going to look like.
Also, I do think that you don't get an actor like Oliver Platt unless you're going to have him in a powerhouse scene with Bartlett. Because you know how Bartlett
course.
is. He's very stuck in his ways. He's very strong-willed. I think they're going to have some headbutting going on.
Right. And it sounds like he's going to stick around for a while. It sounds
I
like
hope
he's
so.
going to be a big part of it. Well, one, you're going to have these scenes and you're going to have these moments and you're going to have somebody butting heads with Martin Sheen. You better have someone who can bring it. You know what I mean?
I think you bring it.
Yeah, Stockard Channing is perfect as the first lady because she can bring it. Richard Schiff as Toby Ziegler, butting heads with him, perfect casting, right? And I think Oliver Platt's right up there with those performers in terms of talent and gravitas.
Richard Schiff is the standout of the show, though. He brings a certain level of just, I don't know.
Presence, really?
He has a quietness about him, yet it's so strong and powerful.
Oh yeah, he's gravitas. He's got gravitas for
Yes,
sure.
yeah.
He's got stage presence.
And it's amazing that
Yeah.
he hasn't really gone on to be in a whole lot of other stuff. I mean, Man
Right.
of Steel, I think he was in Wakanda Forever.
I think he was a central or supporting role on that Ballers show on HBO with.
I never saw Ballers.
I didn't either. It wasn't
Yeah.
my thing, but I think he was on that. But you're right. I mean, he's done a lot of work since then.
Sure.
Obviously nothing that approached
he-
this level.
Was he in The Negotiator with Sam Jackson?
I don't remember.
I know John Spencer was. For
I mean,
sure,
yeah,
but-
I know he did stuff before The West Wing. Like I remember he
Yeah.
was in Jurassic Park 2 and.
Oh my God, that's
Yeah.
what. Okay, yeah, I knew it
Right.
was some '90s movie, and I couldn't think of it.
Yeah.
All right, yeah,
So he's obviously he's a working actor that pops up a lot, but
we're gonna do it. I'm gonna do an extensive deep dive on his IMDb. If you guys have a favorite Schiff movie or TV
yeah,
show,
what
let
are we
us
missing?
know.
What are we missing with Richard Schiff? We need to watch, and I'm not going to watch Ballers. I'm sorry, Ballers to me just kind of seems like the D-bag replacement for Entourage.
Yeah.
It's like Entourage from the New Millennium, the
Yeah.
official show for D-bags, and it's just not my thing.
official show
Sorry,
for
sorry,
D-bags.
sorry for you Entourage
Ballers out
for
there.
all you Baller and Entourage fans, but that's just a little bit too like.
Well, Entourage is like lifestyle porn.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? Like, so
I
it's-
watched the first season and I hated it, and I'll never watch any of it again.
I mean, there's some
But-
funny like satirical moments in it,
I
but
just hated the characters too
I don't
much.
like the lead actor, Aiden. Yeah,
I-
whatever his name is. We digress. Anyways,
Except for Jeremy Piven, I really didn't like anybody on that show.
Jeremy
I did
Piven's
like Jeremy
great.
Piven on that show.
I like Kevin Dillon. It's drama.
That's fair, right? Like I said, I watched one season when it was pretty new. I was like,
Not for me.
Not for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Not
That's
my
fair.
thing. Yeah.
That's fair.
You're right.
All right.
All right, guys, we'll catch you on the next one.
See ya.